Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. We're so grateful for all your likes and subscriptions. It really helps us bring you more content like this. Today, we're diving into a spine-chilling story that explores the eerie side of Facebook. You know, that platform where we connect, share, and sometimes, unwittingly, invite the unknown into our lives. So, grab your devices and settle in as we uncover a tale where virtual friendships take a sinister turn, blurring the lines between the digital world and the darkness that lurks just beyond the screen. Last year, my laptop broke down suddenly, leaving me in a desperate need for a replacement. After scouring online stores and visiting Best Buy, I turned to Facebook Marketplace for potentially quicker and cheaper options. Living in a busy neighborhood, I found a promising listing for a laptop not too far away. I contacted the seller, a guy who seemed friendly enough, but insisted I come to his house to pick it up. Uncomfortable with the idea of visiting a stranger's home, I suggested meeting in a public place nearby. After some negotiation, he reluctantly agreed to meet at a local restaurant that evening. That night, I drove to the restaurant, a small, older establishment on the outskirts of town. It was dimly lit, with a few patrons quietly nursing their drinks. I parked in the back lot and entered cautiously. The atmosphere inside was heavy, almost suffocating, with the smell of stale beer hanging in the air. Glancing around, I searched for someone who might match the sports team logo from the seller's Facebook profile. No one stood out. I messaged him, letting him know I had arrived. Minutes passed with no sign of him. Just as I was about to leave, a notification popped up. Apologies. He couldn't make it. Frustrated and unnerved by the abrupt change of plans, I decided to leave, no longer interested in the laptop deal. As I drove home through the quiet, deserted streets, a vehicle pulled out from the restaurant's lot behind me. Initially dismissing it, I soon realized it maintained an uncomfortably close distance, mimicking my speed through turns and stops. Panic set in when I noticed it wasn't just following, but aggressively tailgating me. Approaching my apartment complex, the truck continued to follow. Determined not to lead the driver to my door, I drove through and out the other side, but the truck pursued. Desperate, I darted into random lots and side streets, but it stayed on my tail. Just as my gas light blinked on, signaling an urgent need to refuel, the truck abruptly turned down a different street and vanished. Relieved but shaken, I fueled up and returned home cautiously. That night, sleep eluded me. Every creak of the house sounded amplified. Every shadow seemed darker and more menacing. I double-checked all the locks, peering out the windows at the empty street below. Days passed without incident, but my unease persisted. I kept checking over my shoulder, half expecting to see the truck waiting outside. It became harder to focus on work and daily tasks, my mind constantly replaying the events of that terrifying night. One evening, while browsing online, I stumbled upon a news article. It detailed a string of incidents where people were lured into dangerous situations after responding to online listings. Some were robbed, others faced worse fates. The similarities to my own experience sent a shiver down my spine. I revisited the listing on Facebook Marketplace, but it was gone. The seller had blocked me, erasing any trace of our communication. The realization hit me. The truck wasn't just following me to scare me off. That night, as I lay awake in bed, faint sound caught my attention. A distant rumble, like an engine. Heart pounding, I crept to the window and cautiously peeked outside. There, parked under a street lamp across from my building, was a pickup truck. Its headlights were off, but I could make out the silhouette of a figure inside. Fear gripped me as I realized the truth. The seller hadn't given up. He was watching, waiting for another opportunity. I immediately called the police, but by the time they arrived, the truck was gone. They assured me they would patrol the area, but I knew deep down that this wasn't over. The experience left me shaken and paranoid, constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if and when he might return. I never used Facebook Marketplace again, haunted by the memory of that night and the chilling realization that not everyone online has honest intentions. The incident served as a stark reminder of the dangers lurking behind seemingly innocent transactions, forever altering my sense of security and trust. It began with a routine evening spent scrolling through Facebook on my phone. As usual, the feed was filled with mundane updates and photos from friends. But then, a peculiar post caught my eye. A grainy photo of an old, abandoned house in the woods, accompanied by a cryptic caption. Explore the secrets hidden within. Intrigued, yet cautious, I clicked on the post. Instantly, the screen glitched, and the photo expanded to fill my entire display. It was as if I was being drawn into the image itself, the darkness of the house enveloping me. Suddenly, I found myself standing in front of that eerie house, my surroundings eerily silent. The air was thick with an oppressive chill, despite the warm summer evening I had left behind. Fear gripped me as I realized I was no longer in my room, but trapped within the confines of this haunted place. Heart pounding, I tried to exit the Facebook app, but the screen remained frozen on the image. Desperate, I tapped the back button, swiped, and even tried to power off my phone. All futile attempts to escape this virtual nightmare. As I cautiously approached the house, every step felt heavy, as though an unseen force was pulling me closer. Shadows danced in the corners of my vision, and whispers echoed through the overgrown garden, chilling me to the bone. Inside, the house was a labyrinth of decay. Rotting floorboards creaked underfoot. Cobwebs draped like veils over forgotten furniture. The air was stale, carrying a scent of damp earth and something far more sinister. I stumbled upon a staircase leading down into darkness. Against my better judgment, I descended, the steps groaning protest under my weight. The air grew colder with each descent, my breath misting in front of me. In the depths of the basement, I found an ancient, ornate mirror covered in dust. Its surface rippled unnaturally, as though it held a dark secret within. Trembling, I dared to gaze into its depths, and that's when I saw her. A spectral figure emerged from the mirror's depths, her eyes hollow and filled with an otherworldly hunger. She reached out with icy fingers, whispering my name with a voice that echoed. My wife was turning 35 and had been dreaming of celebrating her birthday at a concert by her favorite country singer, who was on tour that summer. I wasn't keen on concerts, but I wanted to make her happy. The ticket prices shocked me, over $200 for seats that weren't even close to the stage. Despite my initial sticker shock, I was determined to find a way to make her birthday unforgettable. especially since the tour was stopping near her hometown. Tickets were set to go on sale on a Tuesday, but due to work commitments, I planned to purchase them online later that evening. Little did I know how quickly they would sell out. By the time I logged on after work, they were all gone. I felt like I had let my wife down. Desperate, I turned to the secondary market. A friend warned me prices might be even higher, but I refused to give up. I scoured websites like StubHub and Vivid Seats, but the prices were outrageous. Turning to Craigslist and Facebook, I searched for local sellers. After several disappointments and escalating prices, I stumbled upon a promising ad on Facebook Marketplace. A seller named Ethan was offering 2 tickets at a reasonable price. I messaged him immediately, hoping they were still available. To my relief, Ethan responded early the next morning, confirming they were still up for grabs. He suggested using PayPal for the transaction, which eased my concerns about safety. I promptly sent the money, and he confirmed receipt, arranging for us to meet at a local grocery store to pick up the physical tickets. On the day of the meetup, I arrived early and parked as planned. An old, beat-up car pulled into the lot. Uncertain if it was Ethan, I watched as a man stepped out and looked around. Taking a chance, I called out his name. He nodded, confirming his identity, and we exchanged pleasantries as he handed over the tickets. I thanked him, mentioning they were for my wife's birthday, and we went our separate ways. Presenting the tickets to my wife filled me with relief and excitement. The concert itself was an amazing experience. Great seats, good drinks, and the joy of seeing my wife so happy. However, the evening took a chilling turn during one of the opening acts when Ethan tapped me on the shoulder. Surprised, I greeted him, but his presence quickly became unsettling. He acted as though we were old friends, introducing himself to my wife and making comments that implied a deeper connection to us beyond the ticket sale. Both my wife and I exchanged uneasy glances, unsure of how to react. As the night progressed, Ethan's behavior grew increasingly bizarre. He insinuated himself into our evening, suggesting plans as though we had agreed on them beforehand. Feeling uneasy, I tried to steer the conversation away from him, but he persisted, making cryptic remarks that sent chills down my spine. My wife and I exchanged worried glances, wondering how to politely extricate ourselves from his company. When the concert finally ended, I was relieved. As we stood to leave, Ethan leaned in and whispered, "See you soon." His voice sent a shiver down my spine. I muttered a polite farewell, eager to put some distance between us. Weeks passed, and I tried to forget the unsettling encounter. Then, one evening, I received a message from an unfamiliar Facebook account. It simply read, "Did you enjoy the concert?" There was no name attached, but the implication unsettled me. I deleted the message and blocked the account, hoping it was just a harmless prank. Months later, the memory of Ethan's unsettling presence continued to haunt me. One evening, while my wife was out with friends, I heard a knock at the door. Peering through the peephole, I froze when I saw Ethan standing there, his eyes fixed on the door as if he knew I was watching. Panic surged through me. How had he found our new address? Heart racing, I backed away from the door, unsure of what to do. The knock persisted, growing louder and more insistent. My mind raced with fear and confusion. What did he want? Why was he here? Summoning all my courage, I called out firmly, "I told you to stay away." There was a moment of silence, followed by Ethan's chilling reply. "I just wanted to see how you were doing." His voice was calm, almost unnaturally so, sending a shiver down my spine. I stood frozen, unsure of how to respond. The knock continued, each thud echoing through the house like a sinister heartbeat. Suddenly, the knocking stopped. Silence engulfed the room, broken only by the sound of my own ragged breaths. For weeks afterward, I lived in fear, constantly on edge, convinced I was being watched. The motion sensor lights outside triggered at odd hours, and strange noises echoed through the house late at night. Though I never saw Ethan again, his presence lingered like a malevolent shadow, a reminder of a nightmarish encounter that shattered my sense of security. To this day, I avoid buying anything from Facebook, haunted by the fear of another unexpected encounter.